tickets available on Eventbrite under Dinner on the Bay.
Get ready for the PCB Fishing Rodeo September 23rd through October 9th at Captain Anderson Marina. Join us for the kickoff party Saturday, September 24th with live music from 4 till 7 p.m. To be a part of this exciting event, you can register at Captain Anderson Marina or online at PCBFishingRodeo.com. The PCB Fishing Rodeo, September 23rd through October 9th.
Vision loss is not something that you feel until it happens.
Most people lose their vision from diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma, not at birth.
With macular degeneration, you lose your central vision.
You have a blind spot right in the center of your face, so I can't actually see your face.
So even that little circle in which I could see became a big blur.
I was 65 when I first was diagnosed with glaucoma.
There were no symptoms. I had no headaches.
3 million Americans have glaucoma, and half don't even know it.
11 million people in the United States have macular degeneration.
You lose mobility, independence, changes your entire life.
So many eye disorders can be treated if caught early.
My husband tells me that I have beautiful brown eyes, and I don't want to lose that.
Make a plan today to get your eyes checked.
Visit brightfocus.org to learn more.
Every day before work starts, we talk about staying safe and smart. We wear our safety pants and vests so everyone can see us best. We put out barrels, cones, and signs so drivers stay inside their lines. We work together, no one's alone. That way we make it safely home.
One moment can save a life. When driving in a work zone, pay attention to the road. Someone's future is in your hands.
Your home for Mosley Dolphin football. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271T in Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Red Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
There we go. Hey, we are here. David's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But I'm going to let him bring you in here.
And welcome in to the Rip Curve Radio Room right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're also on 102.1 FM in Mariana area. So if you're headed up north 231 and you get to the Bay County, Jackson County line, you can switch on over to 102.1 FM. Other frequencies to come soon as well. Be excited about that. Also in Pensacola, Mobile, we're on Blab TV. If you don't have Blab TV through your TV service provider, I'm just combining words at this point in time, you can get them on your Fire Stick or Roku device. Just go to channel search, type in BLAB TV, and they'll come up and you can see us live and in living color and in Ultra HD. I'm not going to tell you that we look better there. I'm going to tell you that the pixelation is better there. But you can also catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube, Twitch, and on our app, ESPN Northwest Florida. Welcome in to this show today for the Afternoon Underdogs. No Alan Watson today. We're going to catch up with him Friday, or you guys will catch up with him Friday, Miles. And we do got Steve Barnes, senior writer for therebelwalk.com. We've got a lot of things to discuss with him, not just necessarily Ole Miss, but around the world, and also get some updates from the world of Pensacola high school football for all of you in Pensacola and that Mobile area. Anytime you've got anything that's a highlight or achievement of any young athletes, youth athletes, high school, whatever it may be, all you got to do is text the info over to 850-215-6290, and we will get it over the air. That's the hardest part about being over here in Panama City and trying to cover all of Northwest Florida. And, I mean, you see it here just locally. Coming by local coverages, you've got your WJHG and your WMBB, and then outside of that, it's pretty much self-reliant, and you got to do as much digging as you can. However, I am excited about this Friday rivalry week in high school football. It started early. You have the Bay Tornadoes and Mosley Dolphins playing some volleyball. Mosley got the better of them. But they're taking it to the field, to the gridiron this Friday, and we'll be calling that, me and Coach Siegel, from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Mosley will be the away team. Bay High, the home team. I'm excited about that game right there to see. And I was expecting Will Smiley to be quarterback.
Right.
But when I go through the stats from last week against Arnold, it's looking like he's more of an athlete, more of a everywhere around the field type player.
If you've got the opportunity to hit this guy in space and get the ball in his hands and let him react on that, that's great. And it looks like they do have that opportunity this year with a new quarterback. And let me tell you, the new quarterback is mobile himself. So they've really got kind of a, against Arnold, they showed kind of a three-headed dragon, if you would. And what was surprising was the ability at which Bay was able to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because we knew they were going to run the ball. All Jeremy Brown teams like to run the ball.
Yes, sir.
And he's got a great offensive line there, and they were able to run the ball. But they were really precise in the passing game and had some really good schemes set up and a lot of good routes that the guys ran and put them in space to do something with the ball. And when you have athletes like Will Smiley who can really make people miss after they make the catch, look, that's a danger for Mosley. I know Mosley's the power in this area, and I think they're probably still favored, but they're going to have to earn it if they're going to beat Bay this weekend.
Yeah, I cannot wait to call that game. It's going to be a ton of fun for sure. Just being Friday night under the lights gives you the jitterbugs, and I'm also excited about the work that we've been putting in over here on our end on making that broadcast as great as we possibly can. We put a lot of work into what's going on over there, and so that's been making Miles step up with the production of the Afternoon Underdogs. So big shout out to Miles and all that you do around this way. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Wanted to start with a question. I feel like, Brian, this will be right in your wheelhouse.
Oh, that's scary.
We're talking about scumbags. You love the word scumbags.
So Jay Monahan, is that who we're talking about?
We're gonna get into live. We will get into live golf, despite the fact that we don't have
scumbags.
Despite the fact we don't have Alan Watson, owner of Golf Plus, on today. He's been very busy. Y'all get out to Golf Plus. If you just got yourself a new set of clubs, you need to go get them sized. You need to get fitted at Golf Plus. They got the simulation tool. They've got everything that you need. Maybe you've had the same set of clubs for a long time. You love them. You don't want to part with them, but still go get re-gripped. Mm-hmm. Go get re-angled. There's so many things that they can do to tune up your game.
You can make an old set of clubs like new again by doing things just like re-gripping and getting, maybe if you don't swing as hard as you used to, getting a new shaft.
Yep.
Things like that. Absolutely, you need to do that.
Yeah, but those are not the scumbags that we're talking about.
No.
Those are the good guys, as Eli Gold would be calling Alabama this year. But John Gruden, Urban Meyer, both guys losing their jobs last season in the NFL. The Las Vegas Raiders coach, John Gruden, misogynistic emails, all kind of things attached to his name. Urban Meyer, not only no production on the field, but off the field issues in year one, which you just absolutely can't have. John Gruden, I mean, you look at some of the athletes attached to his name during his tenure with the Las Vegas Raiders. Henry Ruggs, Alex Leatherwood, who's now a Chicago Bear, but some of those guys, and just, what is that a them thing, or is that a bad leadership quality? So the question is, Brian, John Gruden or Urban Meyer They're both not even 60 yet. Which one of them gets a job coaching first?
Meyer will get a job coaching first. I think both of them will coach again. I actually think Gruden's job might be better, but I think Meyer could end up back in the college ranks in a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And, like Dan Patrick talked today, he talked about some kind of lower tier programs, which I found a little interesting just knowing Urban Meyer's track record. But they were talking about maybe Nebraska, Arizona State as kind of landing places.
Like Scott Frost is just already out in the breeze.
Well, I don't know that one's going to end very well. I could see Arizona State before I saw Nebraska, honestly, if I were Urban Meyer. But I think Gruden will coach again. I think he'll coach again in the NFL, but it'll be a little while before that happens. The thing with Gruden, I don't think Gruden's a bad person. I think he did some pretty reprehensible statements and emails. But the thing you have to consider, think about all the years between those emails and the time which they did something.
Right.
There's nothing in that time frame. So this clearly isn't a pattern of behavior.
Mm-hmm. That's a great take.
And as bad as they were and as sensitive a topics as they went into, I do think there should be some consideration for that. And I think there probably will be, but it's just going to take some time. So to answer your question, the first question, I would say Urban Meyer coaches first. Now, to answer a question you didn't ask, I would blame all of the draft woes with the Raiders on Mike Mayock before I put him on John Gruden.
Love that take. I love that take. Miles, where you at on this?
Yeah, I'm the same with him. I think Urban's definitely going to get a job first. And I can't see a big school going after him with the baggage that he has in his past and all that. Like an Alabama, Clemson, somebody like that. I can't see them wanting him to come to their program and potentially ruin their reputation as a all-time great school or program and then having something happen with him there. So I can't see that happening, but I can see him going to a smaller school. I think Gruden wants to let all this court stuff play out first before he gets back into anything, and this is going to take a few years if we know anything about the courts here. It takes a while to get through all that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 100 and how many in FBS alone when it comes to college?
It's like 136
136, right? 32 NFL teams. I mean, so I guess before I get into my answer, do you guys think Gruden would go to the college levels to start that earning process of good graces, if you will?
I don't. However, depends how far this lawsuit with the NFL goes.
Yeah.
He may not have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I think he's a professional coach. I think if he would have jumped to college, he would have done it already. He had numerous good opportunities. Tennessee was ready to move mountains to get him, and he didn't want to do. I think
I'm just
my personal feelings aside,
they were going to be moving McDonald's bags, baby.
Too, but no, I think if he would have moved to college, he would have done it by now. I think he's a pro coach for life.
So I agree with you guys' the sentiments on Urban Meyer, just based on the pure numbers of. Someone's going to reach out to Urban Meyer. Fox, I mean, let's talk about Fox for a second. Fox even going out the year after he's let go, the year after all of the allegations that aren't necessarily in his new line of work or his second venture into this line of work. The things that he did off the field probably don't generate the same publicity that they do with him being the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the biggest factor, in my opinion, is the staying, not flying home with the team.
Yeah, and well, talking to on those talk shows, you're getting pretty much paid to have your takes. You're not getting paid to win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting paid to win or lose, you better win, and you're not going to have a job.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that it took so long for Shad Khan to move on from Urban Meyer. In fact, talking with Sam Kavares, who's been covering the Jaguars for longer than I've been alive, he said. He shared the same exact sentiment. So I do agree that Urban Meyer gets the job first because it's going to be tougher Gruden's still dealing with the lawsuit, first and foremost. But secondly, getting back into the good graces and kind of letting those things, the things that were levied against him, be it or not a decade ago, which to me holds a factor, right? Because if everyone in the NFL, if everyone at a high level, if everyone in the world's emails were exploited, we're talking different stories here. I mean, and if John Gruden had Dan Snyder money, then he can just skip the lawsuit. Y'all take care of this thing without me.
That's my problem with all the Gruden stuff is I think there's over 500,000 emails and all that stuff, and only like 10 got leaked. And you know who they all happen to be? John Gruden's.
Yeah.
So somebody was there and put those out for him to get out of Vegas. Now I hope this will bring all the other emails out. I doubt it will, his lawsuit. So that, I mean, that's where we're all on it. I don't like it at all. I think it's all shady.
Yeah, the problem John Gruden has in that argument, it's every bit legitimate, and they were leaked, clearly.
Yeah.
The problem he has is he still said it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
That's not going to go too far. It may in a court of law.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to go very far in the court of public opinion at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't say I didn't say them.
Yeah.
He can just say why were only mine leaked, and that's just not going to be a winning argument for him. If he's going to repair his image, he just needs to do what he's done recently and just own up and just say, look, what I did was reprehensible. I'm not a bad guy. And I believe both of those things.
Yeah, and it goes back to, in a sense, Mike Mayock, right? I mean, bad drafting of the players, if you will. And a lot of these players that we're talking about do hail from the University of Alabama.
Caveman Rick does have a good point about the Raiders. He said maybe Tom Brady got them exposed because John Gruden did not want Tom Brady. And now he's out.
Yeah,
that's, I mean, you talk about tinfoil hat, but to go down that rabbit hole, right? That would be very interesting because it is a good point. I mean, it's not like he's far away from the truth.
The shield's very powerful, and I do think the stuff he said about Roger Goodell is not going to help his case long term coming back.
Roger Goodell, who's the NFLPA guy, Maurice Davis?
DeMaurice Smith. It used to be.
DeMaurice, yeah.
The funny thing is, or ironic, I guess, if it wasn't the Raiders he got fired from, I'd say the Raiders were the ideal candidate to bring him back.
Yeah, to bring him back.
Because
the Patriots without Belichick.
Whether Al's there or not, the Raiders have always had that stick it to the shield mentality. And, I would, if Gruden had gotten fired for someone else, I could see the Raiders just going, we'll take him.
Well, so I guess just topping off the list of do wrongs, if you will, by the Raiders. You talk about Alex Leatherwood not panning out. Henry Ruggs, that situation.
You can't equate the Ruggs situation with Leatherwood or Farrell or
100%.
Ruggs was productive.
One mistake.
Ruggs did something off the field.
Yeah.
That honestly wasn't in his character. In fact, if anything, based on his high school time, you would have thought a DUI would have been the last thing he would have ever done.
Right.
Because he lost his best friend and all that. Now, Cleveland Farrell was way overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said it at the time. Alex Leatherwood, way overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of people who did not think Alex Leatherwood should be in the first round, and then the Raiders kind of
drafting off that brand.
The Raiders had this mentality. Mayock had it. Gruden has it to an extent. If you like your guy, get him. Forget value spot, any of that. But that's not the way this business works with a cap the way that they have. You've got to exactly lay out your value in your draft at all the right spots. If you have a guy who should go 25th and you've got the 8th pick, you find a way to trade down, take him at 20 or 22, and add value. And that's not what they did. They took guys who nobody wanted at 4, nobody wanted at 17,
mm-hmm.
and they're paying the price for that. If Leatherwood was a late second, early third round pick and he's getting released now, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, you break up my point, but the point I was no, because I mean those are great points and great information to go along with it as well. What I was getting at though is their do wrongs is not. I mean, the drafting there as well, but Rich Bisaccia and what he was able to do with that team and all of their turmoil. And then I'm not no hate on Josh McDaniels, but, basically let him go. And now Green Bay, who had woes with their special teams, is getting a great guy in Rich Bisaccia to coach up their special teams.
That just tells me Davis had already made up his mind before he had really given Rich a chance to coach. I mean, he knew what he was going to do, and they had probably already moved on it with agents and everything, even though that's illegal. I'm sure it happened. So Bisaccia didn't get a fair shot. The beauty of it for him, he got a free resume builder.
Yeah,
I mean, he got a free interview for every club in the league. So good for him. And the Raiders, they're going all in on Josh Daniels, and I hope it works because I love the Raiders. But we'll see.
Anything to add to that, Miles?
Not really. I mean, the Raiders management, when John Gruden was there, screwed up all their picks pretty much. Like he said, there's no way around that. They weren't good at drafting. I do think John Gruden did look at some guys' last names, like Leatherwood. Great football name. That guy loves football, obviously, with that last name. But you can't draft players based off that. You got to draft them off how they play.
Yeah.
So they definitely overdrafted and all that kind of stuff, and now is where they are. I wouldn't say they're rebuilding, but they're kind of restructuring their culture there.
Well, when it comes to Alabama players as well, and we've only got a few minutes, we've ran long here in this first segment. We've got Steve Barnes, senior writer for therebelwalk.com, coming up next. But when it comes to Alabama players, it seems like a lot of the NFL teams, because of the brand built, and this goes for other universities as well. This isn't exclusive to Alabama, but they get looked at through a telescope, whereas kids from other universities, especially the smaller North Dakota States, FCS, Jackson State kids, HBCU kids, they get looked at through a microscope.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the coaches' relationship, like Belichick and Nick Saban. They have a great relationship. So if Nick Saban tells Belichick, hey, this kid's going to be really good at the next level, Belichick's not going to question that.
Yeah.
Now, if those coaches don't have those relationships and take a kid, and Nick Saban's very truthful from what he said with all the NFL coaches on how he talks about his players. And if they don't take Nick Saban's word and they take a kid he said wasn't going to be that, that's on them.
Yeah, that's very true. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Brian Haddad and Miles Lashley. We're going to take a quick pause, pay some bills, and we'll be right back in just a few short moments with Steve Barnes.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and staff meteorologist Tim Root for up-to-the-minute weather reports all day long.
Moving northwestward into the Gulf of Mexico by the weekend.
In-depth storm coverage.
Gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Weather forecast overnight, clouds and showers and thunderstorms roaming around. And it looks like the temperature in the mid to upper 70s, light south winds. More showers and thunderstorms expected Thursday and Friday. Partly sunny skies, temperatures approaching 90 each afternoon. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin & Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin & Bullion Reserves.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs, with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5, and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food, on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
From the Florida-Bama line to the Gulf of Mexico, from the Upper Grand Lagoon to McKenzie Park, we are live and local.
Whether you like it or not, you have a gift.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room, ESPN Northwest Florida.
You heard the man. We're in the Rib Crib Radio Room. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3, 102.1, ESPN Northwest Florida. We're collecting items for the Hurricane Relief America, reminding you guys in Northwest Florida, South Alabama, to be prepared. It's hurricane season, so we're collecting these items for residents here and around the country might just need in the event of a hurricane or natural disaster. First and foremost, cases of bottled water. As Brian Taylor pointed out yesterday, batteries are going to be at the utmost of the utmost importance. Socks, underwear, clothing, work gloves, over-the-counter medicine, as well as diapers. Items can be dropped off right here at 700 West 23rd Street, Suite B22 in Panama City. Hurricane Relief America is sponsored by Event Production, Blab TV, and us here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Now welcoming in to the Rib Crib Radio Room, we've got Steve Barnes on the line with therebelwalk.com. He's a senior writer over there, and you write some great stuff, man. I really do enjoy reading it. Steve, welcome in. How's it going, my friend?
Hey guys, how you doing? And Brian, gotta tell you, I know you're a steak guy. I still love you like fried chicken, but I think you're wrong. I think Gruden gets a job before Meyer does.
Oh, well, let's start there. Yeah. Let's start there.
Are you asking me why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, first off, Gruden has a personality that Meyer doesn't. He's going to charm a GM or an owner somewhere, and he'll get in somewhere. Meyer, he just seems to burn bridges everywhere he goes, and, well, he's never going to get another NFL job, let's face that.
Correct.
But in college, where has he ever left a program that was better than it was and didn't cause some damage? I did a column on him when he got the job with the Jaguars, and I called him Urban Decay. he left Utah, and yeah, they went undefeated, but then they went down for a few years. Then he goes to Florida, won a couple of national titles. Then he has to quit, twice? And one of them was, I need to spend more time with my family. And a week later, he signs a contract to go to New York 5 days a week. And it took the Gators a little bit to come back. And I've got friends in Ohio who never wanted him at OSU. And they said, yeah, we're going to win a title, but what's it going to cost us? So I think Meyer's done.
See, I would normally agree with you, and there's no debating the personality comparison. College teams tend to take flyers on people of, let's say, questionable background more than the NFL does now. That's why I think, if I were hiring, I'd hire Gruden before Meyer. I just think that the colleges, number one, are going to be more willing to take a flyer on a guy who has had some success. I think the lawsuit is probably going to slow things for Gruden. So I don't think he should get a job before Gruden. I just think he will.
Well, also, I mean, you look at it that way, let's face it, Lane Kiffin should not be at Ole Miss. I mean, he messed up in Oakland. He messed up at Tennessee. He messed up at USC. But he went down to Boca, to FAU, and basically rehabilitated himself. And when he got to Ole Miss, I wrote a column.
Come on, Steve.
I wrote a column about this one. Did you hear what he said this week in his press conference? He's like, I think I needed Ole Miss more than they needed me. And now, wow, this guy is not the same guy he was at Tennessee or USC.
I agree with all of that except for rehab did not start at FAU. There's a place there was a stop before that.
I mean, as a head coach.
Yes, sir. 100% agree. Then no argument.
Now at Alabama, it kind of helps to have a couple of rings on your finger when you go to a job interview.
I mean, ask Mel Tucker about does.
Well, and Kiffin can somewhat get away with some of his mistakes in that he was extremely young. And probably in situations, certainly in Oakland, he was not ready for. But
I don't think he was ready for Tennessee. And I'm really not sure he was ready for USC.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
But like I wrote in my column this week that, he got to Oxford, and it's the first time he's actually been in a college town.
True.
I mean, he had the Oakland, the black hole people yelling at him. He went to Tennessee. Not the most forgiving fans in the world, let's face that. Then he went to USC, and he's playing in the Coliseum, and they're like fourth fiddle in L.A.
Yeah.
Then he goes to FAU, and they're Boca, but you know how the Miami things.
Mm-hmm.
Now he goes to Oxford, and he's the only game in town, and all of a sudden he can walk around. Everybody likes him. He's got Juice the dog. His daughter's going to go to Ole Miss now. I think he just sort of grew up.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% with that.
All right, Steve. So moving on to more of stuff pertaining to the articles that you write for the rebelwalk.com. Make sure you guys go check this out. But let's talk about the hot seat here and give us your opinion on whose seat is the hottest. Scott Frost, just taking that week 0 loss. You also have Neil Brown in your column and Brian Harsin. Who goes first?
Frost. Now it's really strange. I once covered a game at the University of Nebraska, and this is going to tick off some SEC fans and some ACC fans, but the Nebraska fans are the most knowledgeable and the best fans in the world. I mean, they sell out the spring game for like 85,000. I covered a game, and they were asking me questions about the team that I covered that I couldn't answer because they subscribe to the newspaper. Now, they love Scott Frost, native guy, but you lose like that to Northwestern, and they're gonna drop a few more like that, probably a couple at home, and I think that's probably going to be. I think after the Oklahoma game, if they lose bad, that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, you can't. If you're any of these three guys, you can't lose the first game because it just heats it up instantly. More likely,
and that's what kills me about Neil Brown.
Right, and he very well may. More likely, Harsin probably doesn't have a real possibility for a loss probably till game 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's right. And, if you're Frost, they lost so many close games last year, and that'll get you through last year. But then you come into this year, it's like, okay, we need to win those, and you can't lose a close game, and you certainly can't lose it to Northwestern.
Do you have that excuse to go to the administration, if you will, the athletic director, and be like, I know it was another one-score loss, single-digit loss, but I've got these guys here, Casey Thompson and the other 5 starters from the transfer portal. Just give me 6 games. Give me 6 games. I mean, does that give him any leeway, do you think, Steve?
Yes, because the administration are all Nebraska guys.
Yeah.
Now, you look at Auburn, they just got rid of Alan Green.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only buffer that Harsin had. Now, they're going to beat Mercer like they want to beat Mercer, but suppose Penn State comes into Auburn and wins by 40. And I put it in the column this week, Auburn is the most micromanaged program in the country by boosters.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't want him. He is not from the South. He was at Boise, so he wasn't a Power 5 guy. They just don't want him, and they got rid of his only buffer. I think if he could go, he could win 7 games, and I think still get fired.
Could you see Urban Meyer going to Auburn?
No. Auburn people are not that bright, but they're smarter than that.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We are affiliates of the Auburn Tigers here.
Well, we're also Alabama fans.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But no,
hey.
You're right. You're right. Look, first of all, Urban Meyer's not going to want to do anything else in the SEC, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
Urban
Auburn's
Meyer,
not going that way.
If Urban Meyer ever got another job, I think it would either be the ACC or the Pac-12.
I agree. I think it's going to be out west. I agree.
And that's a fantastic take. Moving on to some of the other questions that we had for you, or really just kind of breaking down some of your articles. Upset alert. Let's talk about who should be watching out for upsets in week 1, and we'll kind of finish out this segment and come back with you here in the next segment and continue talk, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of teams who should be on upset alert here in week 1. In fact, tomorrow night, there's 17 games going on tomorrow night. So who should be watching out for upsets in week 1, Steve?
Oh, wow. It's not an upset, but I have a lot of friends in Gainesville, and they think they're going to beat Utah by 30 points.
Oof.
That's not happening. I'm sorry. I think Utah wins that one pretty easy. The Sunday night game, I kind of like Florida State. Now, I sent you a little note that I hate predicting games.
Yeah, I want to get into that too.
I hate it because, now, I dated a woman years ago who was a psychologist. And we would go to parties and stuff like that, and people say, well, what do you do? And she'd say, I teach. And I would look at her like, no, you don't. You're a psychologist.
You analyze.
And I asked her about it. She says, okay, next time we go out, watch this. And she said, I'm a psychologist. And everybody said, really? Wow. Let me tell you about the dream I had last night. When people find out I'm a sports writer, the first thing they ask me, well, who's going to win this week between this one and this one?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I used to steal from Dan Jenkins, the greatest sports writer in history. Sorry, Grantland Rice. But he used to say, well, it's definitely going to be a team of humans. Or he would say, I think it's going to be the team with the most points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I came up with my own. I would just tell them, hey, if I could accurately predict the end of a sporting event before it began, I wouldn't be a sports writer.
That's right.
Yeah, you'd be.
I would have the biggest house in Las Vegas, Nevada, and a day at work. Would be going to the MGM Grand saying, here are my bets for today. Give me my winnings from yesterday.
You would own a wing of the Mirage. I agree.
Exactly.
And Steve, let me tell you, that was a wonderful analogy to all of this stuff. But I find the thought of dating a psychologist terrifying.
It was not fun. I wonder why that one didn't work out, huh?
Hey, Steve, we're going to take a pause on the fun real quick and take a break, pay some bills. We'll be back in just a few moments. We're talking with Steve Barnes. He's a senior writer for therebelwalk.com. Go check out the website. Promise you guys will not be disappointed.
This is your captain speaking. Thank you for flying with ESPN Northwest Florida. Please return to your seats, buckle up, and prepare for launch.
He struck him out! Max Fried leaves the bases loaded.
The defending world champion Atlanta Braves are sponsored by PCB Coins and Cards, Guthrie's Fit Culture, Panama City Toyota, Brock's Pest Control, and ESPN Northwest Florida. And we apologize for any turbulence you've experienced this season with the Atlanta Braves.
Let's face it, nobody wants to deal with the hassle of replacing or repairing a roof. At Extreme Roofing and Construction, they help you avoid the headache so you can enjoy your roof stress-free. Extreme Roofing and Construction works with your HOA for approvals, permits, and even helps with insurance to get your roof repaired within 2 weeks. For over 20 years, Extreme Roofing and Construction has helped residential and commercial clients resolve their roofing needs quickly and efficiently. For more info or to book an appointment, visit ExtremeRoofingPros.com. License number CGC 1511861-CCC1329126.
Hi, it's Coach James Hale. Keeping your car looking great is easy as 1, 2, 3 at Blue Sky Express Car Wash. By joining their monthly wash club, you'll get the best bang for your buck. And just 2 car washes, your monthly membership pays for itself. Don't miss the summer deal where all your monthly memberships are 50% off on your first month, starting at $9.99 a month. Become a member today at Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Bat Beach Road, right next to Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hale sent you.
It's the cooling season, and time to call Steverson Air Conditioning for your preventative maintenance to keep your air conditioning system operating at full capacity. Steverson Air Conditioning has preventative maintenance programs, and they service all makes and models. Steverson Air Conditioning offers air duct cleaning. Steverson Air Conditioning has after-hours service and free estimates on a system change-out or duct cleaning. Call them at 248-1109.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
From Mariana to Panama City, from Southport to Laguna Beach, this is the Panhandle's home for live and local sports coverage. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs live from the Rib Crib Radio Room. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. We're inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3, 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, 102.1 in Marianna, 104.3 here in Panama City. We're also in Pensacola, Mobile area on Blab TV. Big shout out to our TV partners. We're on the line with Steve Barnes, a senior writer for the rebelwalk.com. He also lives over there in Pensacola. So we already kind of got into why you hate predicting games. Did you have a favorite game from week 0 that you predicted wrong?
I did not think that Vanderbilt could score that many points against Vanderbilt.
Right. Agreed.
So, I mean, and they're going to be 2-0. Come on, they're going to play Elon this week. So, hey, break up the Commodores, right? But if way back when I applied to colleges, looking back, if I could have gone to Vanderbilt, I would have gone to Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? There's no way I could have gotten into Vanderbilt. So I went to Ole Miss and then Troy. But these guys, I mean, wow. Hawaii, I'm sorry. They are just really, really not very good.
Yeah, that was.
And I think the Vanderbilt people are taking that a little too,
Well,
yeah, look at us. Yeah, okay. Talk to me when you get to the SEC schedule.
It got me instantly thinking back to Clark Lee at the SEC meetings, talking about how he's going to build the most powerful program in the SEC. And I've lived in Nashville. I saw the year that Cutler had them start 5-0, and I think they lost 7 straight. It was ridiculous, just delusion in Vanderbilt over that. I can see them all this week going, Clark Lee was right. We're going to build the best team in the conference. Watch out, Alabama. And they're going to go 2-10.
Well, wasn't it, 2017, I believe, where they started out 4-0?
Listen, I don't remember what year it was, but I can tell you this. And, Steve, I'm sure, look, we both went to Mississippi schools. We've seen these things. I worked across the street from Vanderbilt, and we had practice every Saturday morning. And they were always the JP game at Vandy. So, this would be game day traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I never had to add a minute to my drive-in. But there was a guy on the street corner who always had I have tickets signs. That one game when they started 5-0 was the only time he ever had a sign that said, I need tickets.
Oh, wow.
And in 7 years, that's the only time I ever saw that.
Yeah, it was 2017. They started out 3-0. They beat Middle Tennessee, Alabama A&M, and then Kansas State 14-7. And then they took on Alabama at the house and lost 59-0. And that was when
it's not that long ago they lost to Middle Tennessee State. So, and Murfreesboro is only 40 minutes away from the campus. Yeah. But I tell you what, Vanderbilt, beautiful campus, Nashville, great place to live, and Vanderbilt's always going to be good in baseball.
Yeah.
They're really decent basketball. It's just they can't get the big hulking guys in football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but good for them. I mean, that was a big win for them. That was fun to watch if you're an SEC fan, so that's good.
Well, it's not going to shock me if they knock off somebody in the SEC East this year.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to shock me. I don't think they're going to go to a bowl game.
Right.
But, I mean, I could see them knocking off Missouri or somebody like that.
Well, Steve, we're getting a little close to this second break that we've got to take, and I want to give you plenty of time on the personal story of Ole Miss Troy, the Ole Miss Troy story for you yourself, talking about Steve Barnes here. So if you want to get into that story, and then maybe we'll bring you back in the next segment and talk a little Pensacola high school football.
Well, I mean, I wrote the column. I know you read it. It was these are the two schools that shaped me. I went to Ole Miss. I've covered them now for 10 years, 8 with the Rebel Walk. I also covered them with Saturdays Down South. But I worked at Troy for 5 years, and I've covered them for another 10 for, I mean, name them. I've the Pensacola News Journal. I've done some stuff for Pat McCann at the Panama City paper. Done some stuff at the Northwest Florida Daily News and the Pensacola News Journal, Mobile Register, and I was actually the beat writer in Montgomery. I know these teams more than any other college football teams, and now they're going to play each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little, weird. Just, thinking about, okay, when I was at Ole Miss, I remember this. I learned this. My first journalism professor at Ole Miss was David Kellum, who is now the voice of the Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
He made me want to be a broadcaster, and I ended up doing high school football. I ended up doing college football, baseball, basketball, softball, volleyball, arena football. That would have never happened without him.
Yeah, right.
And then I got to Troy, and I said, you know what, I think I'd rather write. And they just turned me loose. It's like, okay, just write. And I would mess up, and they'd say, okay, change that. And it taught me what I do for a living the last 30 years. And now these two are going to play, and it's just like, okay, here we go. But as I put in the column, the thing I learned from all those teachers and all those people at Troy and Ole Miss, be objective.
Mm-hmm.
So when you read Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, when I wrote about the game Saturday, you're not going to know who I pulled for because that's the way I was trained.
Right. That is great stuff.
He's 100% right. You had to learn that. I mean, I worked with the crew in Starkville, and we were around all the broadcast guys, and you learn that very quickly. You be professional. You put that to the side, and you cover things down the middle fairly. You give everybody an honest shot. So it's difficult at first, but then it becomes an absolute ethos you live by, and people in the business take that very, very seriously. So I know exactly what he's talking about.
The very first lesson I learned in a press box at Troy, no cheering in the press box.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, man. I've gotten to do two pretty big time events. I went to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl down there in Jacksonville, Indiana, Tennessee. We talked about it yesterday. Phil Fulmer stepped on my toe in the after.
Good Lord!
I'm
Sorry
telling
for
you.
your toe.
I'm telling you, that was after the game at the press conferences. And then there was also a big-time basketball, the Emerald Coast basketball tournament that they do over there at Northwest Florida State. Man, that's an amazing tournament that they put on. They bring in 4 D1 teams, or really 8 great college basketball teams they bring in. And that was one of the first lessons that I learned going in. I knew already because my boss told me, hey, don't do any cheering. You're representing the station over there. So you're just there to cover what you see and don't do any hooting or hollering. But I'll tell you what, in that Indiana...
And I'll guarantee you, when Fulmer stepped on your toe, he looked at you like you got in his way.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, back in them days, you couldn't avoid being in Phil Fulmer's way. He was a big boy.
No doubt about it. Steve, one more break. We're going to do things a little differently today and play trivia through text. One more break, and let's get into some Pensacola High School football when we get back, all right?
Sure, bring me some trivia. Come on now.
All right. The trivia question for today, guys. Let me scroll down to it before we take a break, Miles, so give me a second here. Miles came up with this question, too, as well. So, which city did the Rams originally play in? They're now in Los Angeles, but which city did they originally play in? We'll let Steve chime in after we get an answer. All you got to do today is be the first to text in, 850-215-6290. Tell us which city did the Rams originally play in. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be back in just a few short moments.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your official radio home for Auburn Tiger football. The tailgating, the crowds, the noise. All the excitement of Auburn football is back, and you can hear every game right here.
This Saturday, it's Auburn versus Mercer. Coverage starts at 5, kickoff at 6, right here on your home for the Auburn Tigers on the Gulf Coast. ESPN, Northwest Florida.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The newest and most authentic Mexican restaurant on Panama City Beach, El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, 1136 Thomas Drive across from the Navy base. Not only do they have a great location and atmosphere, but they also have happy hour from 3 to 7. Buy one, get one free, regular margaritas and 12-ounce house drafts. And you're going to love their lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Plus, live music on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 5:30 until 9. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Thomas Drive across from the Navy base.
Hello, this is Rick Boston with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer. We are located on 2241 East Baldwin Road, Panama City. Shopping for an 8-foot to 16-foot in width or 10-foot to 60-foot in length, cabin, garage, portable building, whatever the needs are. Remember, at Stormore, we can insulate our buildings. We can put electric on, thermal windows, transom dormers. There's so much we can do. Stormore Portable Buildings, 2241 East Baldwin Road.
Live from the Rib Crib studio. Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
Always be sure to listen for the dial tone.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we're back. We're inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. You guys did great at answering trivia rapidly. It's like we were playing rapid fire today. We got 2 answers in very quickly. We actually had 3 texts in very quickly. The first one was from Caveman Rick, who's on this show, and his answer was, duh, L.A.
The duh was right.
Yeah, that's about all you got wrong or right there. The correct answer, but with Kyle Albritton and Justin Lassiter, is Cleveland. So what I'm going to do here is you both are going to get an extra large ESPN t-shirt. If you already got one, then maybe you can give it away as some free advertisement for us. And then I've got 2 choices here, Barbaritos, Buddy Gandy. So now you guys, Kyle Albritton, Justin Lassiter, you're in a texting competition for the first one to tell me which one you want out of Barbaritos or Buddy Gandy's. The other one gets the other. So you guys are splitting a prize package today. Kyle, Justin, y'all text in, tell me which one you want first, and the first text gets what they want, and I will text back with you guys and let you know what you're getting. Let's bring Steve back into the line with us. We got 7 minutes. We're talking with Steve Barnes, senior writer for therebelwalk.com. Steve, did you know that answer?
Yeah, I was going to give you a little hint, say Guardians, but I got something quick. It's breaking right now. The Division I Board of Directors, they have now approved a transfer window for the transfer portal.
Hallelujah.
It will be a 45-day period starting the day after the championship selections and once during the spring from May 1st to 15th.
I've been saying this all along. They need those windows for these kids so they're not transferring all over the place all the time.
They need some parameters, or it's going to be just, a guy from Penn State, didn't he just transfer to Florida State?
I can't put my finger on that. I know that.
I don't know.
I think the running back said, I'm going to FSU. I'm not sure if he's eligible. I doubt he is.
Right, that may be
but
what I'm
still, in training camp, you say, well, I'm leaving. Well, if you put these parameters on it, maybe they won't leave so quickly.
Well, that's the thing is everybody's been keyed in on the NIL, and there's certainly issues there. But the issue was not that there was NIL. The issue was that there was complete unrestricted free agency, and anybody could move anywhere at any time. And that was what was blowing everything up. So this is a good step. I need to get into the details, but absolutely, this is a good step.
Hey, Steve, while we still got you on the line here for about 6 minutes, what's standing out to you in the world of high school football over there to our neighbors to the west in Pensacola?
Well, let's face it. They've had to change the schedule. Pensacola High School is not going to play Friday night at home against Tate. They're going to go to Tate, play 9 a.m. on Saturday. Gracious. And the reason for that is there was a brawl behind the visiting bleachers last Friday night when they played Washington High School. And if you're not from over here, Pensacola High and Washington are rivals.
Yeah.
Now, they're not PHS and Escambia, where, Emmett Smith played at Escambia, and he once did a documentary for the NFL Hall of Fame. And he said, I'd rather beat Pensacola High School than the New York Giants. Yeah. That's how big this rivalry is, and they play at the end of the year. But it was just so bad that they called every city of Pensacola police officer who was on duty to go to the stadium to break it up.
Wow.
Now they're going to play at 9 a.m. at Tate. And if you're not sure about the geography, I went to Tate, and that's about 30 minutes north of PHS. I guess they're thinking the people who did that aren't going to wake up that early to go do it. And then PHS the next week play at Pine Forest, and they're going to do that at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Wow.
So it's just, that's embarrassing to me, because Pensacola, since 1980, every team in this town has won a state championship except for West Florida Tech. And they've only been in school for like 12 years.
Right.
And speaking of that, I was on the 80 team at Tate. We won the state championship. Went over to Panama City the first round and beat Mosley 17-0. And a friend of mine who went to high school with, his name is Clint Crockett, has written a book about our coach. Carl Madison, who's won 3 state titles in Pensacola and a national title, then went to Alabama and took an 0-11 team and won the state championship the next year. So his book comes out the 6th of September. It's called The Chief. You can get it on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and plug my buddy Clint, who lives in Oxford. So, but Coach Madison was one of those guys that we would always say, he's an SOB, but he's our SOB, so you can't say it about him. But over here, I mean, you got what? Bay, Mosley, Arnold,
Bozeman, and Rutherford. North Bay
yeah,
Haven
you
as
got
well.
5.
Yeah.
6.
Over here, we've got like 7 or 8. And, I mean, even Catholic, the private school.
They put a whooping on someone prior, I believe.
Yeah. And it's always been that way. I grew up in Mobile, so with Ladd Stadium, I can certainly I've been through my times with pretty dangerous high school football games. In fact, Mobile had some shootings either last year or the year before that really that put a chill on.
Yeah, that was
things.
a Viger and Blunt game,
Absolutely.
I believe, right?
But you're talking about Pensacola history. I can remember. I want to say it was '88 at Pine Forest from Pensacola and Viger from just north of Mobile.
Right.
Depending on which publication you read, one was national champion one was national champion the other. And I remember there was like a high school basketball game somewhere, and they had the football
was
teams.
Pensacola. Yeah, they had a free throw shooting contest.
Absolutely right, which Pine Forest
That was in the
won,
Pensacola
which I've
Civic
never
Center.
been happy about. But, yeah, those were some great teams. And then I was at Murphy. The next year, Murphy was ranked top 10 in the country. I mean, there's always been great football in the Mobile, Pensacola area.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the Mobile area, they call it the port city because they import so much stuff. They export college football players.
Absolutely.
And that Viger team you're talking about,
they were so
Electron Williams went to Auburn.
Yep.
Kelvin Simmons was a quarterback who's, to me, the greatest quarterback Troy ever had.
Right.
They had like 7 guys.
And, Mitch Davis was a really young player on that team who was all SEC at Georgia. Yeah, they were great.
I think the 3 best high school football teams I ever saw was that Viger team, the Escambia team with Emmett Smith because they had Reggie Johnson who played for the Denver Broncos. Mark White went to Florida. He played, I think, with the Colts. They had like 5 NFL guys on that one. And then when I lived in Georgia, I had Thomas County Central. I watched them play a game where their first string offense scored 35 points in the first 3 minutes.
Wow.
They took them out, put the JV team in there. They scored like 20 before halftime. Then they let the 9th graders play the second half.
Yeah, and look, when I went to Murphy, we had a freshman team of 50-something people. Like, I mean, that's how many people play. I mean, we were over 3,000 at the time, but 10 of the guys from our defense in 1989 went D1.
Hey, Steve, we are out of time for this segment and our time with you. Thanks so much for giving us so much time. It would be easy to do a 2-hour show over the phone with you, especially if I've got Brian.
Come on. I can't believe we remember the free throw contest.
Yeah,
That's
that is some great stuff. Hey, Steve, thank you so much as always. Can't wait to catch up with you next week, my man.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right. See you, Steve. Yes, sir. Hey, y'all go check out his content, therebelwalk.com. You got Leanne Herring over there as well. She does her pick sixes. Follow her on Facebook, on Twitter. Steve Barnes, great reads. I'm telling you, I get to see some of the raw cuts, some of the raw columns as well. Check out therebelwalk.com. We're going to take a quick hiatus. We'll be back in just a few short moments. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather in Northwest Florida can change on a dime.
Gale force winds bombarded with heavy rain.
That's why 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most up-to-date forecast on the Gulf Coast. Hi, this is Staff Meteorologist Tim Root. With over 40 years of experience, I know just how fast we can go from sun and fun to a serious situation. For the most accurate and detailed weather when it matters, rely on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, chance of a shower or thunderstorm, and the temperatures will range from 85 to 92. Spotty showers and thunderstorms overnight, that overnight temperature in the mid to upper 70s. More showers and thunderstorms Thursday, highs near 90 degrees or so. This weather forecast has been brought to you by KHS and Associates, your source for affordable health insurance. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, you know why we're here. The football season is back! Woo! That means those pregame barbecues with an ice-cold Pepsi? Totally back. Your perfectly placed football-watching corner seat back and comfy as ever. 18 Sundays of touchdown scoring, Hail Mary throwing, ice-cold Pepsi flowing football action. You better believe it's back. And since that's too amazing to miss a single second's worth, Pepsi is officially giving you permission to always put football first. And when we say always, we mean always. Like when your lawn is looking less like a lawn and more like a jungle. If the game's on, then the lawnmower ain't. And those gutters you haven't cleaned, today is not their day. Or maybe those in-laws are back in town. Well, better hope they're football fans because your Sunday is completely booked. Long story short, crack open a Pepsi and don't let anything get between you and your football watching. With love, Pepsi, made for football watching. That's what I like.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
We're your home for live sports. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
I love me some green onions on a chopped up steak, man, especially at Bar Burritos when they put it in a burrito for me. And Kyle Albritton was the winner of our Bar Burritos trivia package today, and Justin Lassiter ended up getting the Buddy Gandy's. Both of them will receive an extra large ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt, and if they've already got one, then they'll give it out to someone else. We've got Todd Mueller in the building with us. We're going to be getting into PCB coins and cards here in the next segment. Can't wait to find out all about how the Gulf Coast Card Show went down. Big news in the card world as well. With the Mickey Mantle selling for record numbers. I mean, does that not excite you?
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Wow. But it does excite me, and it's really cool to see that even the big stuff is doing well.
Yeah.
And that's the key. I mean, you can sell little stuff all day long. I mean, just go on eBay. There's millions of items. But big cards, real big cards, key cards that set industry, like same within the coin world. That's just amazing, and I'm so excited to see that. So it does wonders for all of us.
Well, and I'm just proud that I set and held to my discipline that I set my limit at 12.5 million, and I didn't go over that.
Exactly.
You
were one click away.
Very proud of myself
because I was at 12.51 million.
He had the snipe button on.
Yeah. Brian, what was your favorite game from week 0?
Unfortunately, I didn't get to really watch any of them live.
Yeah.
I got to agree with Steve. Seeing Vandy put that many points on, when you're making a big trip like that, when your guys might be as interested in the beaches as they are in the football game, I thought it was impressive. I think it says a lot about Clark Lee's determination to really build something there at Vanderbilt and get his guys to play hard, because that's a patchwork group he's got. And unfortunately, it says a lot about Hawaii, I think, too. But that one probably surprised me the most. I think Florida State did exactly what they needed to do. They had a fairly concise and dominant victory without showing too much, which I think was good. Now, unfortunately, it looks like we've got another linebacker hurt. But, outside, and I mean, the Nebraska thing, you can't lose that game. And it's just on fire. But Vandy, for me...
The cornfields are on fire in Nebraska, y'all.
Vandy, for me, was the one I went, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one, like, I would not have expected.
Especially being so far away, five time zones away, in that kind of bowl environment, and then with all of the excitement around Tommy Chang kind of taking over that Hawaii team and maybe bringing it back to their good graces, or bringing themselves back to the Tommy Chang days, when they were running the run and shoot offense. What's the biggest game of the weekend going to be for you, Brian?
I'm the most interested in the Florida State LSU game.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest game. It may not even be the best game. It's the one I'm the most interested in, because it's going to tell me a lot about FSU and where they're going to go. It'll tell us a little about LSU, but it's going to tell us a lot more about FSU. The one I think could end up being the best game, as much as I didn't think this, and I think they're going to have a big year, the Cincinnati-Arkansas game could really be a dogfight.
Oh.
So I would like to watch that one, too. I mean, Notre Dame-Ohio State's going to be great until kickoff. And, I mean, the hype's going to be wonderful, but, dude, Ohio State's going to put up 50. I don't know. There's a lot of good games. There's a lot of interesting, compelling storylines. I don't think Georgia-Oregon is going to be a great game.
Yeah.
It's a great storyline, and it could be interesting for a half.
Yeah, the Dan Lanning. I have the exact same feelings. Like the Dan Lanning Bowl, if you will, is going to be great for a half. For a half.
Utah-Florida should be a good physical football game.
There's so many people that are really getting high on Utah right now. I haven't given away my picks for week 1, but that it almost, because I'm one of those people who are like, I think Utah is going to come out the victor in that game. But the more people that get on that bandwagon of the Utes, the more it makes me think Billy Napier's not being too loud over there down in Gainesville. They're going to be in the swamp. Utah's going to be in conditions they're not used to. I mean, there's so many things I can rattle off that make me get on the fence like Mr. Feeney.
There are, and look, they're coming east. Western teams don't do good coming east. It's humidity. It's a lot of things Utah's not going to be used to. But we talked about this in the morning show a little bit here. The thing you have to consider with Utah, this is a team who over the last 20 years has built a solid program. And they have been inching their way up the ladder. They've won the Pac-12 a couple times now. They should have won the Rose Bowl last year. They are right there. This is their time. They have a very veteran team coming back with a veteran, the second most tenured coach at his school in college football. This is their time to make the playoffs. And what have they heard all offseason? Lincoln Riley and USC.
Mhm.
This team has a chip on its shoulder. This team wants to get in the discussion, and they have every opportunity with a suspect Clemson team
Yeah.
that if they can run the table, they'll get in the playoff. Utah is going to come ready to play.
If Utah gets into the playoffs, I want to get this same question over to Todd, what the biggest game of the weekend will be. Then we'll rattle off some picks here for week 1 for Brian. But if Utah were to get into the college football playoff, would the committee forget the committee, forget the media. Would the people like us who watch football, would they look at it in the same sense like it's another Cincinnati, or because they come from a Power 5 conference, even though Utah's barely been in the Pac-12 for how long? You know what I'm saying?
If it wasn't for the Rose Bowl game last year, that probably would have been the look, whether it should have been. They had Ohio State on the ropes last year.
Dude, that was a great game.
And people, look, I know it's a long way back. People remember what they did to Alabama. People remember games like that. So I think it'll be seen more as the way it was when Washington made the playoffs.
Gotcha.
Yeah, better
I
team,
love
power
that
conference,
analogy.
a little pedigree, but we still don't think they're going to beat Alabama, that kind of thing.
My thing with it is the number 4 team, and every year the playoff, there's only been, I think, maybe 1 or 2 overall that's been in the fight with the number 1 team. I can't see Utah being in the fight with an Alabama or Ohio State in one of those games. I just can't see it.
You know what,
I would
though?
love to see it, but I don't see it happening.
2 of those number 4 teams won the national championship, though, too.
All right.
And there's only 2 then.
That's right.
There's only 2 there. All right, so Todd, I just handed you a sheet of paper, and these are going to be our picks here for week 1. And so the thing about it is it's 50%. Now I know you say you don't have to do this if you don't want to,
I'm
but
cool.
play along with this.
I'm playing along with it.
All right, so let's get into these, and then I want to learn a little bit about some local swimming that we've got going on. Maybe we can hold that off till 5:45.
First of all, are we playing the lines here? Or are we doing the Coach Hale just pick a
No,
winner?
you have
game?
to pick the
All
line
right,
with
good
it.
deal.
Yeah, spread is
that's
included.
Very good.
Spread is included. So let's start off with Brian here. And in the first game, we've got Florida State, LSU. LSU 3.5-point favorites. Don't forget, me and Fireman Harry have a big-time bet on this. Brian, what do you got?
I like FSU in this game. I honestly like FSU to win this game. LSU.
Circle who you got, though, because we're going to tear this page off, and we're keeping everyone's records this year.
At 3.5, I love FSU.
Yeah.
If it was 2.5, I wouldn't feel quite as good. But look, even with the linebacker situation at FSU, LSU has had kind of a tumultuous offseason. We all think it's going to be Jaden Daniels at quarterback, but FSU has gotten on the field and worked out some kinks. I think if they have a shot to beat LSU, it's now, and I think they're going to take it.
What do you got, Todd?
LSU. And I actually do have a little information that I think is good. You know, the new coaching staff coming in and stuff like that, I believe that they are going to be fired up. That's what I believe. And I think that is going to trump FSU, personally. That's really all I have, but I really just think that they're going to be so fired up for to get back in it and prove to the world that, look, just because our coach is gone is not, type thing. So that's my opinion. LSU is going to win, and I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Here, circle your picks there. So I'm loving this. All right, game number 2, a game you're interested in, Brian, a game we're all interested in. In fact, I think it's lost some of its luster just because of getting closer
lost
to
in the shuffle.
Oh, exactly, it's getting lost in the shuffle here. Number 23, Cincinnati at number 19, Arkansas. Arkansas needs to cover 6.5.
Arkansas is going to cover, but they're going to cover late. And Cincinnati is one of the most well-coached teams in the country. The problem they're going to have is they've lost a lot of top-end talent. I think they're going to play them every bit as hard as Arkansas wants for about 3 quarters. I think Jefferson makes some plays with his legs in the 4th, and they'll pull away and win by 10 or 14. So give me Arkansas to cover, but it's going to be a good football game.
I love it, man. So give you Arkansas to cover. Let's go to Todd. What do you got here?
Arkansas to cover as well. I think they'll do it too. You're right, since he has lost a few people. So I think ultimately Arkansas is going to be the one that's going to be on top. Some of these spreads, I get it, but I think it's going to be more. I mean, honestly, from my opinion, most college football that I watch, and I do watch a good bit, it's usually one-sided. It just is. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's usually not a close game. There are a few close games out there, but in these matchups, I don't see very close games. And I'm not going to jump ahead, but I'll talk about one of them in a second.
Just another reason to go to PCB's coins and cards because he shoots it straight, y'all. Going to game number 3 here, number 11, Oregon, in a neutral site, not so neutral site game here with Georgia. 17.5 points Georgia needs to cover. Let's start with you, Brian.
Don't be shocked if Oregon gets on top like 7-0 to start. I think Lanning's going to throw some wrinkles at them. And 17, look, Vegas knows what they're doing. That is that key number on Georgia all last year. They were always right around 17. I don't love taking Georgia at 17.5. If it was 16.5, I'd like it a lot better. I'm going to go on and take Georgia, though, because I'm actually hearing, and from people I trust, that Stetson Bennett has made a world of improvement even from last year.
Regardless of that, Bo Nix is the opposite quarterback. So that's what I'm.
Doesn't matter. Right. He's lost by more than 17 to Georgia before.
That's what I'm getting at. It's
no,
like I don't care about the strides that Stetson Bennett. That's what doesn't matter to me.
As a amateur gambler, I don't love 17.5. I hate it as a number.
Yeah.
I'll go on and take Georgia here based on what I'm hearing.
Quickly, as an amateur gambler, because we're gonna finish the show out. We're gonna get all of PCB coins and cards stuff in. So I want to get this content in as well. Does the hook matter to you? Does that half point? Are you as an amateur? See, that's how I am.
Yes.
I'd rather have the hook than just 12, and then we push.
Pushing is like kissing your sister.
Yes, I mean roll tide, but come on.
But I got a story about that later.
Oh boy!
And I don't have a sister.
All of them need to be a half. I hate it when you're on a push.
Yeah,
I hate it.
All right, what do you got on this game, Todd?
Yeah, Georgia's going to annihilate them. This is a big or Oregon's going to show up and it's going to be so close that you guys are going to be shocked.
Yeah.
It's weird. Oregon cannot be one of those teams where they're in the fight. They either just come out and just pound you or not. But I think Georgia, everybody knows Georgia's not number 3 for zero reason. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I think Georgia's offense is going to surprise us a little bit.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I agree. So I'm fine with exactly what the number is right there.
All right, so we've got Todd and Brian locked in on Georgia. The next 3 we can kind of be a little bit quicker about. Arizona, San Diego State. San Diego State, 6.5 points they need to cover at the house.
Arizona's not very good. And 6.5 I love for a home team like this. So give me San Diego State all day.
What you got, Todd?
Who? I'm sorry, that was mean. I'll take San Diego State too. I'm not familiar with those teams.
The Aztecs of San Diego State. Moving on here to number 24, Houston, and the Cougars giving 4.5 points to the Roadrunners of UTSA. Another who-type game here, Todd. Let's start with you. Who do you got?
Houston. Yeah, Houston's going to take that game. I think it's going to be much more than 4.5 personally, but again, you're not ranked number 24 for nothing, and somebody can sit there and say, "Oh, number 24, you're still a good team. If you're in the top 25, you're still a good team." So again, I go by numbers. I do numbers all day long, every day, and you can't look at that and not say, "Yeah, you're probably right." So I think it's going to be even better than 4.5. I think 7, 8, somewhere in there.
Where you at, Brian?
I hate this game. Houston has heard all year they're going to be the new Cincinnati, and everything's laid out for them. And of their early schedule, they're not looking at UTSA the way they should, and they're on the road. So this one scares me. I'll take Houston because they're significantly more talented. This game scares me, and 4.5 scares me. But I'll go on and take Houston and hold my nose and see if we get this one.
Well, hold your nose on this next one as well. Man, I love football. The Cougars of BYU giving up 12.5 at USF. What do you think, Brian?
South Florida's terrible. They're terrible. BYU's a good football team. I know they're coming east.
I agree.
BYU's a good. In fact, BYU I think's got a real shot to upset Arkansas this year when they go out there. And I love Arkansas. So
BYU never gets any love. I do not even understand that.
Zach Wilson did.
They're my sleeper playoff team this year.
Zach Wilson does, but
look, I don't see it out of South Florida. Give me BYU all day in this one.
I'm with you.
I may drive to Biloxi for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right, now you guys, if you want to take some time on this one, I get it. Number 7, Utah getting 2.5 points in the Swamp. Ben Griffin Stadium here, Utah, Florida. But Utah needs to cover. Number 7, Utah needs to cover 2.5 points. Let's start with Todd.
Oh, this is a good one. I think Florida is gonna surprise everybody a little bit. I mean, I get it. They're not in the top 25, but I still think that they're going to surprise. And Florida always has a way of pulling some things out. That, honestly, if you really watch their games, for some reason, they always have a way of pulling some things out. Again, am I saying they're going to beat Utah? No, I'm not saying that. And again, I can't go against numbers. I mean, number 7's Utah. I mean, most likely Utah's going to win. But I'd love to see Florida win. That's all I got to say.
So are you going to pick
Florida?
Florida? I'm pick Florida on that one. All right. What do you got, Brian?
The number here is what matters.
Yeah.
2.5 is a great number for a favorite who I honestly think will win the game. I think it's going to be a very close, hard-fought game. I just trust Utah's experience and depth a little bit more than I do Florida, although I think Florida is going to show out. I think this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful game. Utah probably wins it 31-27 in that regard. I'm going to take Utah because it's 2.5. That's a good favorite number.
All right, we got one more game that we can or cannot be long-winded on. This is on you guys, though. Number 5, Notre Dame. At number 2, Ohio State. Ohio State, 17.5-point favorites. Brian, lead us off.
Hate the number. Love the team. Ohio State's going to win by 30. I really think that.
I agree.
I'll want to make their statement.
I'll make it quick. I agree 100% with Brian.
I love it. Memphis at Mississippi State. Mississippi State and the Bulldogs got covered 15.5 points. They're not doing it? You got the Tigers?
State's going to win, but they ain't going to cover. Memphis is our boogeyman team.
Oh.
I'm telling you. We win by 10 at best. Give me Mississippi State to win, but Memphis to cover.
Mississippi State's going to win that game as well, I believe. But I don't know if they'll cover. 15.5 seems high to me.
It's a bad number.
So I would go with Mississippi State, but I don't think they're going to win by much.
See, so I put the hook in here that we had it at 15. I'm like, no, it's either 14.5 or 15.5. And I'm like,
a bad number too.
Exactly. So I just went ahead and went 15.5.
On some official books out there, it actually moved up to 16 today.
Yeah, so we're good then. We're good there at 15.5. The last game that we got, and then we're going to get into what happened at the Gulf Coast Card Show and a whole bunch more. If you got any questions on coins, currency, PCB, sports cards, or PCB coins and cards, we've got your answers right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Boise State, Oregon State. Who we got? We'll start with Brian.
Game's essentially a pick 'em because you get about 3 points at home. Boise State, I've taken too many favorites so far, so if it's a pick 'em, I'm going to flip a coin. I'm going to take Boise here.
All right.
I'm going to take Oregon State. The only reason why, honestly, I don't know enough other than I grew up in Oregon. So
that's a great reason.
There you go.
The thing is all of these games, when you get to the spreads, the numbers change dramatically. But at the end of the day, it is still a 50% chance, right, that someone comes out and wins the game. And that's my favorite thing about pick'ems is you can go with the favorites all day long, or you can go with the underdogs. Either way, it all adds up. And at the culmination of the year, we'll see who picks the best. Because at the end of the day, it is just a shot at the dartboard, and not everybody's hitting triple 20s. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back. We're talking coins and cards with PCB Coins and Cards and Todd Mueller.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your touchdown headquarters for the Mosley Dolphins and the Auburn Tigers. Plus, premier college and NFL games. Touchdown! Your source for the most live football on the Gulf Coast in a rich audio experience. 102.1, 104.3 in the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
Mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. Chance of a shower or thunderstorm. And the temperatures will range from 85 to 92. Spotty showers and thunderstorms overnight. That overnight temperature in the mid to upper 70s. More showers and thunderstorms Thursday. Highs near 90 degrees or so. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS & Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no co-pays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Get ready for the PCB Fishing Rodeo September 23rd through October 9th at Captain Anderson Marina. Join us for the kickoff party Saturday, September 24th with live music from 4 till 7 p.m. To be a part of this exciting event, you can register at Captain Anderson Marina or online at PCBFishingRodeo.com. The PCB Fishing Rodeo, September 23rd through October 9th.
He listens to Post Malone. He drives a Honda with ground effects and has Pennsylvania tattooed on his right tricep.
You're looking at a bad man.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
What is love? It's loving sports cards. It's getting out to PCB coins and cards, checking in with Todd, seeing what the latest and greatest that he's got. And then they just had a great show on the Gulf Coast, the Gulf Coast Card Show there in Daphne, Alabama. Tell us about how the show went down and everything that happened.
Show went down well. We had a great time. So the show was on Saturday, August 27th. We opened the door for dealers at 7 a.m. And, of course, they were showing up at 7 a.m. Everything went really smooth. We got everything set up. We got booked out, so that was cool. We had everybody show up. We ended up with, I want to say 82 tables. Wow. So it was a fairly large show. Every table was packed with dealers. One tops, two tops, three tops. Some guys even took four. We had Wallace Gilberry.
Yeah.
He showed up, and he sure did. And what a nice guy.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about Wallace Gilberry. So if you ever get a chance to meet that gentleman, he is top notch. He was really good to everybody who came in the door. He even some of the kids gave free autographs to, things like that. He was just a really good guy. And so we were really excited to have him, and it was a good promotion for the show. The food trucks were off the chain.
Yeah.
Everybody loved those. Everybody loved the idea of doing the food trucks, and then we didn't have to worry about the kitchen, doing the food, all that kind of stuff.
That takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders.
It was a lot of weight off our shoulders. Had a TCG Magic the Gathering tournament. Went really well. It was with what we call a 3K.
Yeah, so I was so confused when we got off the air last week about what was that the amount of money that went down on that? Is that
so
what
that
3K?
That's the amount of money that was given out in prize support. Wow. So let's say as an example, first place would win $1,500. Second place, third place would win $500, and then the top 16 would get payout.
Do you ever foresee sports cards getting into a world where like the statistics battle against each other? You know what I mean? Like where
Right.
they come up with a game like that for sports cards?
I do not. It's too singular, and singular as in stats and things
Yeah.
like that. Things don't, there's betting.
Too
obviously.
opinionated?
Yeah, and really stats don't lie. Whereas in the game of Magic, the road can go left or go right many different times. It really doesn't. Aaron Judge hit so many home runs. He's at 50, 51.
Mhm.
I mean, that's true. That's
Right.
just a true statement. There's no, is he going to hit 50 or 51? And then does that change the game? You know what I mean?
So it's more like
it's
so
more
maybe it could be an off-season game.
Classic
but
tried something, but it wasn't really
It wasn't
like
good.
a game like
I
Magic
think I
or
remember what
something.
you-
Yeah.
When was this that they tried that?
91,
90,
Okay, never
91,
mind.
something like that.
Never mind. Let
No,
me
you
shut
wouldn't
my
have
mouth.
remembered that one.
So ultimately, there isn't anything like that in the sports world. But so we had a Magic tournament. We had some side tournaments of Pokemon and Magic as well. So that's a lot of fun because the Daphne Civic Center has enough space to do that in. So and it also brings the collectors in because remember, not everybody's doing sports cards that set up. Some people are doing Pokemon. Some people are doing Magic, trading card games, and various things like that. Memorabilia, stuff like that. So. Anyways, it was really, really a great time. We also set up, we had 2 tables, and we had a fantastic time we did a lot of buying. There was a lot of people came through. A lot of people were selling, and that was a lot of fun. We met a lot of new people. We even met some people who come by the shop, and they traveled all the way over just to go to the show.
I know one person in particular who's going to be at my house tonight in Dalton. So
yeah. So we had a really good time, and it was really fantastic. Turnout was great. We are planning on probably doing another show, probably next year, somewhere around the February, March, April, somewhere in there. It depends on when Mardi Gras is, to be honest with you, because they do a lot of Mardi Gras in that area. So ultimately, that's how it went down. It was a long day, but a lot of fun, and we got a lot of good inventory. So everybody needs to come to the shop and check it out. We got a lot of great new inventory that we're putting out, and can't wait to sell some baseball cards. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, man. And we did kind of touch on the Mickey Mantle going for 12.6. You guys were close in the runnings at 12.5 and 12.51 to get the job done, but it didn't
Almost.
get that.
I was that close.
I mean, how does that? I know that you touched on it, but just as a card collector, and it's just like the stock market ebbs and flows, right? But it just feels like the sports card market right now, there's not really many valleys as much as there is peaks of mountains.
I try to explain to everybody, and this is where numbers are. I'm a numbers guy, and I don't claim anything else other than I'm a numbers guy. And the numbers for me are this: is that in the end, sports cards were, let's call it X 10, and they were at 10. And the sports card market over the last 3 to 4 years has gone to 100. Well, it has come back down. It's come back down to 60. It's still 50 points higher than it was 3.5, 4 years ago. And so it's still a great market. And everybody forgets that. Ultimately, that's what you need to look at, is that the market is still very good, very solid, and very strong. And the point of the fact is, a Mickey Mantle SGC 10 just sold for $12.6 million. I mean, you guys, that is monumental in the card industry. Monumental and fantastic, and I'm so happy to see it. And I equate that a lot to the coin market, because what you guys don't know is a lot of coin sales go on too, a lot of auctions, and there's some big boy stuff out there. I mean, there's $1 million coins all the time selling, and so that's good. That shows how strong the market is and how strong it is to pull in someone's money. You got to remember, somebody had to part with that much money. And you could sit there and say, well, there's a bunch of people in the United States that have that type of money. Yeah, there is, but that they're going to put it into a baseball card? Yeah. Think about it. So the market's strong.
Yeah.
The market's real strong. So that actually was super exciting, and it couldn't have happened at a better time with our card show going.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everybody talking about that. And it was so cool seeing all the social media and people posting the stuff they got at the show and they traded for and this and that, and tagging us and tagging other vendors. And it was really cool. So ultimately, that card selling is very monumental. And funny fell into what Brian and I were talking about last week, as in what is the most monumental year in 1952.
52,
Right. And so that was really cool that that this has kind of come full circle. And that's why it's the most monumental year. And that's why Brian and I know that.
And we did have a comment, though, after the show last week from someone at PCB Points and Cards. We won't PCB Coins and Cards. We won't name them, but they said I believe it was maybe 1969 tops. 1961 tops.
Now,
because of Roger. Is that because of Roger Maris?
Okay. Because of 1961, the home run thing, and that person's not wrong, in stating that 61 was probably one of the most pivotal. Man, there goes that word. Pivotal time in baseball.
Yeah.
1961, because Maris, Mantle, all the guys that were in there, all the guys were hitting home runs. The notoriety of the game was just so on point in 1961, and so that really could be chalked up as one of the best years. But I took the question more as in the card market. What was the And 1952 would be it.
Gotcha.
But that person's not wrong. 1961 probably really is the best year.
I love it, man. We've got 2 segments here, so I don't want. You really wanted to get into eBay and the internet and how that kind of changed everything.
It did.
Dollars. So let's end this segment with this: dollar bills versus coins in your world, how does that measure out?
You're talking about currency versus
Currency versus coin.
Coin. Okay, so currency is a lot less collected. I know that it's kind of weird because you think everybody wants money.
I got a bunch of $2 bills.
Exactly. Who doesn't? But the fact of the matter is that most people, when you talk about collectors, they get into coins first.
Yeah.
And then they float to eventually, if they really become a serious collector, they float into currency. But typically, when you have a collector, there's several types of collectors. Most of the collectors that we see are the ones that put the sets together, or want a full run of mint sets, proof sets, things like that. And currency kind of does go by the wayside. However, lots of people collect it. We do a lot on Whatnot, which we've stated that before, and we've really pumped up our numbers and really been selling a lot. I mean, we are on Whatnot every day now, Monday through Friday, and at the shop. And so it's kind of cool to see, and we sell currency every day. But the amount of currency, let's call it 10 pieces versus 50 pieces of coins, is kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
I'm selling 10, so it's about 20%. So I think that's probably congruent across the U.S. and the world. Really, is that there's really about 20% of collectors out there for that, and there's 80%. The rest 80% of the collectors in those are for coins.
Is there any value in when they retire a type of bill, like the hundreds that went away?
Yes, it makes them older.
Okay.
And once it makes them older in the look, I mean, I've pulled out a $100 bill that's just from 1995.
Right.
And someone's looked at it and says, "This fake?"
Yeah.
It's like, come on, people. I mean, you really
wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. But
it wasn't that long ago. They were green.
They were green, right? And so the interesting thing about it is they in 1966 they made a red seal $100 note.
Okay.
And that's actually very highly collectible. Yet you can have a 1934 green seal 100, and you're not going to get near the amount of money you would for that 1966 red seal. So it depends on how many they made.
Right.
And that's the reason.
Same with cards, then, essentially.
And essentially, cards are the same way. So the 90s, terrible. Why are they terrible? Because they made too many.
Because they made a bunch.
Because they made a bunch. And they even made a bunch of 70s cards and 80s cards, and some, there's still a good bit of 60s out there. But the fact of the matter is, you now have certain cards that are just, the print run is so low. And since it's so low, that helps the value. And it's no different with the coins and the currency and stuff like that. So those are very parallel paths as far as collectability goes.
eBay and internet when we get back?
Yep, that sounds good.
You heard it from the man here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're with Todd Mueller with PCB Coins and Cards. If you have not been to the shop yet, is there a stronger word than urge?
Oh my
what would
God,
be the
it's
synonym?
great. And with that new table now, there are so many singles.
So the
to
new
go
table's
through.
installed?
Yeah,
you can lose an afternoon and love doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the new table is 12 feet, so we doubled it, and it's also wider. So we do back-to-back boxes now, and we have sections. So we have baseball, football, basketball, and we actually have a Pokemon section, and you'd be shocked how many people have already come in and started pawing through the cards.
TCG, coins, cards. If you're not heading out to PCB Coins and Cards, what is you doing? You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be back in just a few short moments.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's destination for the Atlanta Braves.
Got him, swinging strike three.
Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves are back.
Unbelievable.
And hungry for more. Listen to the world champion Atlanta Braves on a world champion radio station.
Rosario knocked the living daylights out of it.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, chance of a shower or thunderstorm, and the temperatures will range from 85 to 92. Spotty showers and thunderstorms overnight, that overnight temperature in the mid to upper 70s. More showers and thunderstorms Thursday, highs near 90 degrees or so. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with today's Car Clinic Minute. Now there's another reason to look forward to Friday, the favorite day of the work week and aptly named for the Roman goddess of love. When we come back, I'll tell you why Friday's an automotive sweetheart.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and Hometown Towing.
Fridays are best known for winding down the work week and gearing up the weekend. But before you turn to the open road, Friday's also the best day to head for your service shop. Most repair facilities are busiest Monday through Thursday, tending to cars that break, often of cumulative neglect over the previous weekend. With a big rush over, technicians tend to spend more time, are more thorough, and pay extra attention to detail on Fridays. With some elected pre-repair on Friday, you'll fall in love with Mondays all over again. TGIF. I'm Bobby Likas. Like us, you'll love us.
More Eagles. Coming this September, another year of live play-by-play with the Auburn Tigers. Now back to the Rib Crib Radio Room with the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're also on Blab TV in Pensacola and Mobile area and 102.1 FM in Marianna. We've got Todd Mueller in the building with us with PCB Coins and Cards. Should I say building or should I say Rib Crib Radio Room? Y'all go check out Rib Crib over there on 15th Street where the old Rattfield Seafood building was over there by Oasis. Go check them out. But now we're talking with Todd. Todd, before we get into eBay and the internet, which rookie card from the football season, the NFL football season, which rookie card are you looking for to explode this year?
Hopefully. So here's the deal. I did want to say about this. Joe Burrow, and he's not a rookie, obviously. He's been in the league for a year. But his rookie card, I want to see that thing explode.
Almost how the Patrick Mahomes did earlier for y'all this year.
And we picked up several Patrick Mahomes rookies at the show, but we picked up a ton of Joe Burrow.
Yep.
And there's a reason I did, and because I believe that kid's got what it takes. And I think that he is going to really do good again this year. If he can stay focused, they can win, 10, 12 games, get in the playoffs, maybe not go to the Super Bowl, but get in the playoffs or get close to going to the Super Bowl, I think that his cards will explode. That's my opinion.
All right. eBay and the internet in general, what has it done for the sports card, coins, all of that? What has it done for your market?
This is a prime example. So this is good that you're bringing this up because it's starting to become – we do a lot of advertising. We really enjoy your guys' platform, and a lot of people come in and say, man, I heard you on the radio. Or, man, I heard your ad or this or that. And they come through the door, and they bring their stuff. And that's fantastic. We'd love to talk to everybody. But what's happening a lot lately is people are coming in with 80s and 90s cards. And
you're
so,
like, go put it in your bike.
Yeah, I can't do anything with that stuff, guys. And the reason I can't is because they made too much of it. Now, where does eBay come in with that? Well, that's the issue, is that what everybody doesn't understand, in 1990, when Ken Griffey Jr., was coming out in 89 with all of his cards, you would go down to your local card shop and say, yes, this guy, Ken Griffey Jr., I watched him on TV and I want his rookie card. And they're like, okay, sure, I've got one right here in the case. And they came down and they got the card and da-da-da. Well, what happened to the next kid? Well, I don't have one. I just sold it.
Yep.
So where are all the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards? Well, I don't know. There's a couple in my local card shop. eBay changed that. Now, every person in America who owned one, every card shop who owned one, now can have their inventory visible. So I don't have to go down to my local card shop anymore. I can just go on eBay, and hundreds and thousands of them are listed on eBay.
In fact, a lot of people, I'm sure you guys don't as much as individuals in the card collecting world, utilize that as their kind of,
correct, as their platform of pricing. And so ultimately, eBay's pricing and history of auction archives and buy it now archives has changed the industry. And so everything,
for good or for worse.
I think for good. I think when they mass produce things, that it's called supply and demand,
Mhm.
and there's too much supply for the demand. Therefore, it's not as valuable. Number one. Number two, it does kill some cards. Prime example is Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens. All of them were 87, 86, 85, 87 era. I mean, they were good players, you guys. Steroids or not, they were good players. And
We're with you here on this show.
And their rookie cards should be worth good money. But the problem is I have stacks of 50 of them.
Mhm.
I have too many. They literally killed the market with printing too much cardboard. And so that's so sad. And eBay showed that. They showed it. They showed you guys, you printed too much. I mean, they're everywhere.
Mhm.
And so supply is higher than demand, even though these were wonderful players. So ultimately, where do you cash in on that? You ultimately cash in on the new cards. The new cards will reflect some of the older players. They'll do a Roger Clemens cut autograph, old, original 86 jersey, patch, this and that.
16th of an ounce of his plasma blood inside of it.
Right. Out of 10 or out of 5. Okay, now you got a $200-$300 Roger Clemens card.
Yeah.
His rookie's worthless, but you've got that. So, not really worthless, but you know what I'm saying. So the fact of the matter is, you have to look at that and say, did eBay change a lot of things? eBay did change a lot of things, but it's a wonderful platform because I can tell you, every single one of those Joe Burrows I picked up, I bought them right, and I could sell every single one of them on eBay if I need to.
Mhm.
So I can also move inventory. So a lot of people got to understand that I put a lot of stuff out in the card shop on purpose because I want it there for the customer. I can get my money if I need to get my money. It's not about that. It's about the love of the game for the customer. And so when you walk in my shop, you should be able to find something that you like because I've put almost everything out. I haven't just ran to eBay and sold it.
If I can double down on that, if
You've been there.
I'll give you $20 out of my own pocket if you can walk into that store and be like, yeah, there's just
If you're nothing I can find, right?
You have to be a sports fan, but if you're a sports fan or TCG fan or coins card or a coins collector, you're not going to walk into that store and be disappointed. You're going to walk into that store and be disappointed that you had a to-do list or a honey-do list and nothing got done on it because you ended up spending 3 hours at PCB Coins and Cards. That's the only negative.
Literally every day, you guys, we roll in. Today we happen to roll in a little bit later than normal. I think we got there around 9:45. Bill and myself, and there was a guy waiting in the parking lot. Again, every day there's a guy waiting in the parking lot, and sure
was
enough,
it O'Brien?
And sure
No,
enough,
not today.
No, not today. And sure enough, he came in. He's like, "Well, I'm kind of looking for this, kind of looking for that." And I'm like, "Okay, I got one of those right there, and I've got this right there." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that I was gonna find stuff."
No.
Well, we have just about everything. So, and sure enough, he spent like $400. Really nice guy. And he said, I'm going to update my list and I'll be back. So pretty much every collector who comes in really can find something for themselves.
Well, and what's fun is somebody like me who's been in there a lot.
Yes.
I still find new things every day. And some of that's because you're buying new things constantly, but also it's just something else catches your eye on another day. And that's what's fun is it's that search. And even if it's not something maybe you're interested in buying right away, it's that, oh, I remember this. I used to have one of these, or, oh, there's that Dale Murphy jersey. How cool is that? I saw him play at Fulton County. And it just gets you, really enjoying yourself in there. And then you find something you want to buy,
right?
Which is great.
And you get to find and talk to interesting people too.
Yeah.
And so that's the connection that's been really great. Had a guy come in, speaking of Dale Murphy, had a guy come in and say, "Yeah, my cousin's really good friends with him." And I said, "Well, how good of friends?" He said, actually, I think it was I can't remember if it was a niece or a nephew. Anyways, they're cousins. Dale Murphy and him are cousins. I said, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, I can get anything you want." I said, "Can you get him down here in our shop?" And so he's like, "I'll ask him."
Wow,
No
could
problem.
you imagine?
Right, and so
God, I would
speaking
pass
of that,
out.
yeah, I would pass out too. But speaking of that, actually, Wallace Gilberry said that he would be interested in coming over to the shop as well. So you guys know, I will let you guys know if something like that happens. But anyways,
That would be huge.
Back to the Dale Murphy store. It was neat to meet the guy, and that's how close we are all in this in the sports world and all that. So, anyways, but with that having been said, eBay, I think, has been great for the industry because, again, I don't necessarily have to sell to you as a customer. I want to sell to you. I will have the inventory available. But if you don't come in and you don't buy it, eventually I have to do something with it. And so, no, I have a platform, and eBay is a great platform.
Right.
And so I won't shoot eBay down because of that, of exploiting, everybody's attic. I say that it's a good thing and a good deal. And with that having been said, we actually did hire an eBayer and shipper, and she has been doing a fantastic job.
Yep.
So we're really excited about that. So we have a lot more inventory on eBay. If you want to check us out, it's PCB Sports Cards. That's our ID on eBay, PCB Sports Cards. Check us out. We got a lot of stuff listed. You can buy it in the comfort of your home, and you can just come by the shop and pick it up.
Hey, that is great stuff. You can save on some shipping there as well.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but whatnot. Same thing, right?
Same
PCB
thing.
Sports Cards. And
PCB
you also
Sports Cards. We also have PCB Coins,
Mhm.
which we do a lot of coin stuff. And we're about to fire up our third company, which is Gulf Coast Hobby. That's the TCG side of things.
Okay.
We already do have a whatnot for that. They already have been doing a little bit of that in Spanish Fort, but we're taking it over. We have 1,000 graded Pokemon cards in our possession right now, getting ready to go up.
Yeah, I watched this little guy on Facebook. I don't even know his name. I think it's like Connor or something like that. He does this trading series where he like trades from a penny
up,
to
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tesla or whatever, and he does a lot with the gaming cards as well. And like it'll be like this Shadow Flame, Paradigm, Charizard for this Pokemon. Like I have no idea. It's like someone who is big in the TCG world listening to my show.
Right. Listen to sports stuff, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You can sit there and listen to them talk about it, and it's kind of funny because they'll say all kinds of craziness, or what it seems like craziness, but they know what they're talking about. And some of these cards are good money cards and good stuff. And so you really can, with a little luck, you can take a card, trade it for this, trade it for that, buy a pack, trade it for a pack, get a better card in the pack, trade up for that, and next thing you know, you got a pretty decent collection. And I think that's what people love about it is the collecting side of things. So.
We got about 2 minutes left here. Is TCG cards, specifically Pokemon? Let's stick with Pokemon. Is it in the same realm as the 90 sports cards as far as mass production goes?
Thank God it's not. Thank God it's not. You'd be surprised how limited some of this stuff was, and how limited some of the runs and some of the characters on the cards, how limited they are. And it's specifically Charizard. Everybody always knows who Charizard is.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of variations of that card. And there's some reprint runs, and there's some originals and some base sets and things like that. And some of this stuff is pretty rare. And so that's really cool to see some of that and know that there is some value behind it versus just a conglomeration of massive amounts of cards being produced.
Well, and that even carries over to sports, because what I found coming back in '89, there was a Ken Griffey Jr. There were 1 million of those.
Right.
That same card.
Yep.
There may be 700,000 Mac Jones, but there's 100 different varieties of them.
Correct.
So none of them are very
similar,
overproduced.
Right.
So yeah, you have the opportunity to get a bunch of different Mac Jones, but it's not the same one, and that's what's interesting.
Literally, like you said, Brian, there's literally 350 different Mac Jones cards out there, literally, but they didn't produce 150,000 of each one, making it 50 million of his cards produced. A guy came in the other day, yesterday, in fact, I think it was, and I came strolling in from an errand, and he was standing there talking to Bill, and sure enough, he had a page full of Ken Griffey Jr. rookies, all 89, Fleer, and Don Russ, and it's like, he's like, no, those are the big money cards. I'm like,
look, I got 1 through 50.
I'm like, sir.
No, they're not.
Sir, they're just not. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're standing here, and you've got 9 of them.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Yeah.
Y'all go see Todd Mueller and friends at PCB Coins and Cards on Back Beach, right there next to Florida Linens. I promise they will take care of you, and they will tell you, hey, that's not worth it, or it is worth it. You can play deal or no deal with Todd at PCB Coins and Cards with your sports cards and with your TCG and with your coin collections. Todd, thanks so much for dropping in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Had a great time, guys. It's good to see you again, and I will see you next week.
Next Wednesday, 5:15. Cannot wait for it. When we get back, we've got some local issues to talk about, new hire at Arnold, and some local swimming that we can cover.
Country music singers.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
It's the Battle of Bay as two rivals collide. The Mosley Dolphins versus the Bay Tornadoes. Coverage on ESPN Northwest Florida starts Friday night at 6:30. Kickoff at 7. Mosley Dolphins football is sponsored by Southern Orthopedic Specialist, Panama City Toyota, Tavario Solutions, Gulf Coast Aquarium, Bear No Heating and Air Conditioning, Arboritos, Team MVP, Ellis Agency Insurance, First Federal Bank, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Since 1955, Buddy Gandy's Seafood Market has been providing their customers with the freshest seafood in Panama City. Whether you're cooking something small or hosting a big get-together, Buddy Gandy's has you covered with a variety of fish, oysters, shrimp, crab legs, live blue crabs, a steam bar, and more. They'll even clean your catch for you. Open 7 days a week near the intersection of Beck Avenue and Highway 98. Don't forget to mention 104.3 ESPN for your 10% discount. Visit Buddy Gandy's Seafood Market on Facebook. Trying to figure out where to eat with your family or a group of friends that can't agree on what they want is hard.
Well, not anymore. Jin Super King Buffet has something for everyone with extensive options, including top quality seafood, hibachi, and even a sushi bar.
Dine in for lunch or dinner 7 days a week or call for takeout 850-238-8589.
Come enjoy Jin Super King Buffet today at 9802 Front Beach Road next to Wonderworks.
The Beach Care Services dinner is back. The last dinner was in 2019 due to COVID, and the charity has felt the impact. But Beach Care Services is beyond excited for the return of Dinner on the Bay. This fun, family-friendly event features a 3-course dinner, block party, $5,000 cash raffle, and jewelry raffle. Join our community for a night of fun, October 4th from 5 to 9 at the Shrimp Boat Restaurant. Proceeds go to helping our locals in times of need. Tickets available on Eventbrite under Dinner on the Bay.
Number of rings since 1987. Dallas Cowboys 0. J-Lo 5. Just saying. Now back to the Rib Crib Radio Room with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Bad to the bonus, the last segment of the day, and I wouldn't even call this a segment. I would call this a promo. We've got 3 minutes. Let's get into it. Arnold introducing their new head boys basketball coach, Travis Jackson, I believe, 32, coming to the Marlins program with a lot of playing and coaching experience. Spent time coaching at the JC level, the JUCO level, and most recently comes from a head coaching position at Avant-Garde Academy, which is a charter high school in Hollywood, Florida. This is off of Josh Latch, I believe, taking a position at the college level. Yes. So, big. We're rooting for Arnold here in this position. He said he walked into the gym, didn't really see anything hanging from the rafters, and he's looking to change that. Go ahead and take off on that, and then right after you're done with that, I can save the rest of my local for tomorrow. Yeah. I need to hear about local swimming from Brian Haddad.
Well, the divers are out there right now. Well, maybe. They may be dodging bolts, but they're supposed to be out there right now. And then the swimmers, they have their second meet of the season tomorrow. So we had the first one last week. Fortunately, the weather held up. There were some great performances, but it's a first meet. You know, you're just kind of knocking the rust off from the end of summer break, and it was very competitive. Arnold and Mosley at the top, and then North Bay Haven was in third, and Bay was in fourth. Right now, those are the only 4 schools with teams, but it's a whole new type of meet tomorrow night. So same 4 schools going to go at it, but in a different format. So it should be fun, should be interesting, and hopefully the weather holds, we can get it in.
Yeah, so I saw someone is taking over these at Destination Panama City. They've got a new sports liaison, and she put a post out in Bay County Sports, which is a group that we're in on Facebook, and someone had commented on there, let's hear more about swimming.
Yeah.
Do more with swimming. And I'm like, well, I've got the perfect guy for that on our platform here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. So always grateful to kind of give those guys coverage because they work hard.
Well, and we have the returning 2A state swimmer of the year in Shane McLeese, and he's kind of the top name. But there's a lot of talent in this area. There has been for years, despite what I, ruined them, for all those years doing it. But no, and the coaches do a good job. So I think it's a younger crew right now. The little COVID bubble certainly existed, but it's a good group of kids, and I think they're going to put up some really good results. And, we're hoping Shane can maybe go down and win a couple more state championships like he did last year.
I love it, man. The athletes around here in Bay County are just absolute monsters. Thank you guys for listening today to the Afternoon Underdogs. I got to get to a live fantasy draft, so I'm going to be exiting here very briefly after we get off the air. Thanks so much to
Kellen Mond.
Well, where's he at? Cleveland now?
now.
So if Jacoby gets hurt, who knows? All right, we're out for today. Coach James Hale Show live at 7 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. with Amanda Muller and Drew Gorman. Thanks so much to Brian Haddad and Miles Lashley. I'm David Hayes. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. Have a great day.
About your past.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to